Hi everyone and welcome to Book Boop. My name is Rachel and today I have a huge book haul for you all. I have a Book Outlet Black Friday Blowout book haul. Black Friday, I kind of went a little bit nuts. If you've never heard of Book Outlet before, it is an online retailer and they have all overstocked books. So all the books are brand new, but they're overstocked from various stores from everywhere. And these books are already really, really cheap. Again, brand new, but for Black Friday, they had 30% off their entire site. So I went a little crazy. And if you want free shipping, you have to spend $35. Otherwise, shipping is $5. So of course, I wanted to spend $35 so I could get free shipping. And I ended up getting 10 books for $35, which is an amazing deal. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to show you 9 books today. The 10th book is a book that I bought for a family member for Christmas, so I'm not going to show that one just in case that family member happens to see this video. But it's a book that I really love and I own, and so I just bought another copy to gift to this family member. So I have 9 other books to show you today. I'm super pumped about them all. I think out of all of them, I've only read one of them. It was one I just wanted to add to my collection that I read a long time ago, but I have 3, I would say, middle grade books, and the rest are YA books, and not all of these I know a whole lot about, so we'll kind of learn about them as we go. But let's go ahead and jump in and talk about the books that I got from this book haul. So the first book, this is the one that I've actually read before, and it's called A Curious Tale of the In-Between by Lauren DeStefano. And first of all, can we just appreciate this cover? It is beautiful. I love this cover so much. So this story I read several years ago and it's really stuck with me. It reminds me a lot of the Cassidy Blake series, the City of Ghosts book by Victoria Schwab. It reminds me so much of that, and it's about this little girl that when she was, I think, a baby, she had a near-death experience, and because of that, now that she can see ghosts and she can interact with ghosts and everything. And if you can see this little boy here next to this pond, and I think that's like her best friend ghost. She has this one specific ghost that's kind of her friend that she hangs out with a lot. So it's just a really cool book and I love it. And again, this cover is majestic. I love it. And I hope to read it again soon because now I own my own copy. I think I read this as an ebook. So I'm looking forward to reading my own physical copy and I'm excited to have it a part of my collection. So this next book is one that I haven't heard much about, but it's been on my TBR and Goodreads for a while. And when I saw it, that they had it on Book Outlet, I snapped it up. And again, this is another one with a beautiful cover, and it's called The Swallow, A Ghost Story by Karis Cotter. And again, this is so pretty. Now, I hadn't seen the paperback cover before. I'd seen the hardback, which is the cover that I have on my Goodreads list. So when I saw this cover as well, both the covers are gorgeous. They're very similar art style, and they're just so pretty. So let's see what this story is about. It says, 2 old houses stand side by side overlooking a cemetery. In one house is Polly, and the other is Rose. They couldn't be more different. Polly has a large, noisy family, while Rose is often left alone by her busy parents. Polly has a wild imagination and speaks before she thinks. Rose broods and says little. Polly's greatest desire is to see a ghost, while Rose just wishes she could stop seeing them. So I think this story is about this girl. I'm assuming the broody one over here is the one that can see ghosts. And the story continues, and they end up having to solve a mystery about a specific ghost. But it just looks lovely and wonderful, and I love ghost stories, especially middle grade ones. I cannot wait to jump into this one, and it's just so pretty. All right, this next one is one that I am pretty darn excited about. It looks like a very different type of book, and also it's a brick. It doesn't look like it should be heavy, but it's real heavy, and it's called Thornhill by Pam Smy, S-M-Y, I'm not sure to pronounce that, but this book is so pretty. I'm saying that about every book, I'm sorry, but this one doesn't have like a cover over the top. It's just like the book itself is the cover, and this one has like a mixed media. It's written as a book form, but then also it has a lot of illustrations in it. So it's like a mix between and I guess some black pages too. I don't know. It's like a mix between sort of a regular novel and also a graphic novel. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be really, really cool. And this story, it just says, a lonely girl in a new town, a ghostly figure in the window, a derelict old house, and a mystery spanning the decades. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun as well. I've heard a lot about this one. I mean, I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot on Goodreads, but I haven't heard a lot about that, if that makes sense. But I'm very excited to read this one as well. If you're seeing a running theme, I have a lot of like ghost stories and creepy books. They're just my favorite kind of books to read. All right, those are my middle grade books. So now I'm going to jump into some YA books. So this next one here is the lovely Victoria Schwab. Or, yes, it does say Victoria Schwab. Sometimes she goes by V.E. Schwab. This is our Dark Duet. This is the second book in the Monsters of Verity series. I think that's what it's called. And it's just a duology. I really don't know a whole lot about this series other than it's supposed to be about a world where monsters and humans live in the same world, but they don't like each other. And I think I can't remember if it's a monster or human that can play music and it can manipulate people. I don't know. But then there's like a human and a monster that kind of befriend each other, and they kind of have these prejudices against each other, but then they learn about each other's people and their culture. I don't know. It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be sort of like heartwarming, I guess, at the same time. I don't know. I really don't know a whole lot about it. But what grabs me, I think, the most about it is, oh yes, and the first book's called This Savage Song. I think what grabs me the most is I play violin, and so these covers have violins on the front. I'm like, sold. So I think it's going to be really fun. I still haven't read the first book yet. I haven't read The Savage Song, but I own it in paperback. And so they had this one on Book Outlet, and I was like, why not? Even though I haven't read the first one yet, I'll go ahead and get the second one since it's just a duology. So I haven't wasted too much money if I don't like it. But I have liked Victoria Schwab's work so far, so I'm looking forward to jumping into it. So that's that one. This next one, we're kind of moving along with the whole ghost thing again. This one's called Spectacle by Jody Lynn. Oh my, Zdrok, Z-D-R-O-K. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I didn't even notice that last name was there. I should have looked it up beforehand. This front, it says, she sees the truth, but the killer terrorizing Paris sees her. So I'm pretty positive this story follows this girl here, and she works at a, what is it called? What does she call it in here? Petite Journal. I can't think of the word. Where's the word? Not a cemetery. Okay. She works at this place basically where dead bodies are taken, and she's able to, I think, kind of read the bodies and to see flashes of that person's life or their death. And then she sees flashes of this new person that's arrived, and she sees that this person's been murdered, and she knows who the murderer is, but then the murderer kind of knows that she knows. I don't know. It's supposed to be like intense, and it kind of gives me Stalking Jack the Ripper vibes because it's set in that time period, kind of that 1800s time period, Victorian London thing. So it's giving me kind of Jack the Ripper vibes, and I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm sorry that was a horrible explanation. I just don't know a whole lot about this book, but I've heard just sort of has that sort of dark and creepy vibe to it, and I love that. So I'm excited about jumping into this one too. Wow, I feel like I just totally botched that description, so I'm so sorry. This next one is one that I think came out fall of 2018, and just the first time I saw it, I was like, I need to read this book because it just sounded so creepy awesome, and I really, really am excited about it. It is called Light as a Feather by Zoe Arson, and apparently it's a Hulu original series. I don't know, I don't have Hulu, so if you've seen this, let me know if it's good. But this one follows this new girl that comes to town, and we follow this other girl that's been living in town for a while, and this girl that's been living in town for a while, she has her Sweet 16 party, and this new girl comes to her party, and this new girl, I think she makes a lot of like spooky predictions about people's deaths that are at her party, and then one of the characters dies, and like the thing that she said would happen to them actually happens to them, and some creepy stuff starts happening. So anyways, this looks super spooky. I love this blurb at the back. It says, 3 days later, as her shocked family in the grieving town of Willow assembled for Olivia's wake, her body lay in a closed coffin, light as a feather, stiff as a board. That's all I need right there. That's all I need. It just sounds so wonderfully creepy, disturbing, and I'm just like, I'm living for it. Okay. I've got 3 more left. This one here, I am pumped about. I've heard a lot about this series, and I'm really excited to try it out. And that is My Plain Jane it's got 3 authors here, Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This one is the second book in the Jane series. I think that's what it's called. There are 2 out so far. The third one's coming out in 2020. The first one is called My Lady Jane. Then we've got My Plain Jane. The next one is supposed to be My Calamity Jane, I think. But the thing about this series, so it's about different Janes in history or literature. This one is supposed to be pretty much Jane Eyre meets Ghostbusters. That's what I've heard, and that sounds amazing. It sounds so amazing. But one thing I've heard about this series is you don't actually need to read each book. You don't need to read them in order, and they're separate. So I've actually never read the first one, but this is the one that intrigues me the most because of what I just said, Jane Eyre meets Ghostbusters. So anything that's got something ghosty about it, I am all for it, and I am going to read it. So I'm excited to finally get to jump into this one. I've heard a lot about it, and I really want to get a chance to read it. So I'm pumped to read my Plain Jane. This next one here, I really don't know very much about, but every time I've read any kind of description about it, it sounds super creepy and fun. And it's called House of Furies by Madeline Rue, I believe. And this is a trilogy, I think. And it's, as you can tell from the cover, it's very spooky looking. I think it follows this girl who moves into a home, I guess. I don't know if it's supposed to be an orphanage or a boarding school. I'm not really sure. And then some creepy stuff's going down. That's all I really know. I'm sorry, that's not a very descriptive one. I think it's got a description in here. But it's supposed to be a gothic horror series. Photographs and illustrations help bring to life a terrifying house you'll want to visit and escape from again and again. So this is the same person that also wrote the Asylum series, which I have read the very first book in Asylum. If you've never heard of it, it's very similar feel to the Miss Peregrine series. It's got a lot of old photographs that are kind of tied into the story, but a lot of it's focused on like an old asylum, which normally I would love. I didn't particularly like it that much. I think I didn't get into the story, but I'm excited to try this one out and try a different book by this author. The cool thing is that Book Outlet had this entire series in their collection. I was so tempted to buy all three, but I've also been burned before of buying an entire series or like several in a series and then reading the first book and not liking it and then wishing I hadn't bought all the books that I did. So I'm just buying the first one, and if I really love it, hopefully Book Outlet will have the other two and I can pick those up. But this one looks really cool as well. This last one is a little bit different than the other ones I have in this little book haul here, and it's a sci-fi. And ever since I heard the idea for this book, I was like, I need to give that a try. And it's called The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. First of all, how wonderfully sci-fi does this cover look? It's so amazing. So it's a sci-fi, and it's basically the Magic Kingdom, but dark. So you've got the Magic Kingdom, and instead of humans being these different characters, the different princesses and princes and things like that, they have these robots that are these characters. So they're perfect and they're made to act like these characters. The back says, "We are beautiful, we are kind, we never raise our voices, we always aim to please, we never say no unless you want us to. Your happiness is our happiness, your wish is our command." So the reason I say it's dark is because I'm assuming this is the character we're following, but one of the robots, she actually starts to develop some things beyond her programming, and she starts to actually develop feelings and having feelings. And I think she starts to fall in love with one of the workers at this Magic Kingdom place. And what happens though is that guy turns up dead, and they think that she murdered him, which I think is also obviously against her programming. And so it follows, I think, a trial of them trying to figure out who killed this guy, what happened. I don't know if he was killed or went missing. I don't know. He might have gone missing. But anyways, basically there's this trial for these robots and whether or not she has actually gained the ability to feel, and then also just sort of how they're treated. I think these robots are supposed to be treated really, really badly. Like they're treated horribly. Anyways, so this, again, I'm horrible at making these explanations for these books that I don't know much about. I'm so sorry. But this one sounds really cool. It sounds really creepy. It's just dark Disney. So what can go wrong? Those are all the books that I picked up at a Book Outlet for Black Friday. First of all, are there any of these books that you have read? If you have, let me know what you think about them down below. Please no spoilers or anything, but just let me know what you think. Also, did you go Black Friday shopping? What were some deals that you found or took advantage of? It doesn't have to be books. It can be clothes or whatever. I always love to hear a good shopping story. It's always fun to be able to tell other people like, oh my goodness, I got all this for this great, amazing price. So I really love the fact I got all these books, including one more, for $35. They're all brand new. They are beautiful, and I am really, really pumped to read them. Now I just got to figure out how to fit them onto my TBR cart in my room. Yikes. On this side of the screen over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel, Tongue-Tied, and join me on my book journey. On this side of the video over here is a suggestion for another video if you want to watch another one right now. But thank you so much for watching. You rock, and don't forget to keep reading. Bye.